breaking news today.
Please subscribe and then check notification box to get all breaking news alerts.
Houston's dim mayor who threatened people trying to escape storm just got smacked hard by karma. And once again a far-left liberal politician has dropped the ball, or has he? On August 24, both Texas Mayor Greg Abbott and President Donald Trump made statements asking Texas residents to follow evacuation orders because of the monstrous storm coming that was Hurricane Harvey. The thoughtless hack that is the mayor of Houston contradicted them both by issuing an order himself. Democrat Mayor Sylvester Turner actually told people to think twice before trying to leave Houston. And what makes all this even worse is that most all Houston is today underwater. But this mayor has yet to even bother to put a call in to either Governor Abbott or President Trump. Governor Greg Abbott, urging Texans in the pathway of Harvey to heed warnings from local officials and adhere to all evacuation orders. MSN reports. Houston residents huddle in the convention center as their homes vanish underwater. Around 1 o'clock on Saturday morning, 61-year-old Joan Groth noted water seeping through the bottom edges of the door in her one-story house. By 4 a.m., it was waist-high, so she and her husband William, like other Houston area residents that night, climbed into the attic. Water would rise 7 feet inside her house. "We flooded before, but never this bad," Groth said after climbing off a city truck in downtown Houston. "I was afraid we'd get flooded in the attic." Indeed, the National Weather Service was warning people to wait on their roofs rather than in their attics for rescue. Groth arrived Sunday evening at the George R. Brown Convention Center in downtown Houston with her husband and about a dozen neighbors who'd been rescued by boat from their flooded homes. She, like others filing into the convention center Sunday, was plucked from her home by a boat driven by the National Guard, the Houston Fire Department, or just a friendly neighbor. Houston residents arrive at the shelter happy to be dry and alive, but as the shock of their water rescue fades, attention turns to the future. Thousands of people in Houston are homeless now, all their possession claimed by the floods. Even those with salvageable houses will need to wait months for repairs. Although the most urgent rescue efforts are ending in Houston, a years-long problem is just getting started. George Snow, 68. Was dazed to be vying for a cot in a city shelter, his South Houston house in ruin. "It had never flooded there before, so we were just going to ride it out," he said. "We didn't have any idea it was going to be this bad." His neighborhood, Scarsdale, sits in an area near Clear Creek and Dickinson Bayou, where water rose above the second story in some neighborhoods, and where boat owners flocked Sunday to join first responders in the rescue effort. Snow and his wife were picked up by a volunteer boat owner. In the stress of unexpected catastrophe, Snow said, he and his wife were unable to pick the valuable belonging from their 3-story house. Many of the evacuees filling the center carry all their dry possessions with them. Ariel Wadler, 21, marveled that everything she owned she carried in her purse, mostly dry clothes, shampoo, and conditioner. She and her family had waded across a street to a neighbor's 2-story home when water began to overtake their ground floor. The floods that followed swallowed her bedroom, and she was rescued the next morning by a National Guard boat. "I can't even feel anything," she said. "That's why I'm not crying." Authorities, still absorbed in the rescue effort, haven't yet produced a clear figure on the extent of the damage or how many people are left without a home. Evacuees throughout the shelter told of their own rescue by boat. Congress is sure to take up a relief bill when it returns from August recess, and how and whether flood victims will be able to rebuild their lives will depend on the outcome of that bill. When Ricky Harris realized the storm had brought disaster, he drove toward his 91-year-old grandmother Clara's house northeast of downtown, parked at the edge of the flooded street, and walked for 45 minutes through knee-high water to find her. He helped her from the house and walked her back to the edge of the flood, where dump trucks waited to move evacuees to the shelter. "This is unbelievable," he said as he waited for officials to help him lower his grandmother off the back of the truck. Oscar Santos, 54, left his apartment near Buffalo Bayou without knowing what condition he'd find it on his return. Police came through midday Sunday, just as water crept over first-floor door stoops, telling residents to head toward an evacuation pickup point before water got too high. "The bayou is still rising, that's why we're here," he said. A neighbor who didn't leave has been sending Santos videos showing the bayou slowly overtaking his apartment. The city's homeless have also flocked to the convention center. Many spent Saturday night trapped in pounding rain, and then were trapped Sunday by the shutdown of public transportation. Gordon Miles, 51, had been in Houston for just 9 days when, sleeping under an overpass of I-45, he saw the dark, misty cloud, bursting with lightning and rolling toward him. He immediately knew trouble approached. "Scared the hell out of me when I saw it coming," he said. "Everybody left but me, I didn't know where to go." At one point in the night, he braced himself in the corner of a fence to keep from drifting away in the water. In the morning, he walked 2 hours to the shelter. There, on Sunday evening, thousands registered and filed into waiting line for dry clothes, towels, and food. Many watch the weather forecast on TV or wrap up in towels and stare ahead, dazed and tired from a wet, sleepless night. The convention center will be open for a few more days. After that, while Houston flooding refugees' homes are repaired or demolished, they'll need to find elsewhere to go. Why does this smell of a conspiracy to me? This could very well be the left trying to make the Republican governor and president look bad. In fact, this reminds me of the famous Barack Hussein Obama era quote, "Never let a perfectly good crisis go to waste." There is no logical justification for this liberal mayor to have ignored and told his whole city to ignore the orders of the governor and of the president unless there was an ulterior motive to this action. Will they now call in their hacks in the mainstream media and entertainment industries to unjustly fault Abbott and Trump for this mess like they did with President George W. Bush and Hurricane Katrina? It certainly is starting to look that way. But let's not forget that back in 2005, we didn't have much of an alternative media presence like we have today. So this time around they better watch themselves, because we won't be putting up with any mediocre, clearly mentally disturbed rapper going on national television trying to push the narrative that Governor Abbott and President Trump don't care about black people. This time the leftists will own their sins. Thank you for watching this video. What do you think about this? Share this on Facebook and Twitter along with your comments.